My name is Beth. I am 43 years old. I live in a quiet town with my husband Roger and our daughter Amy. She is 16 years old. We have been a family for many years, but my days at home never felt easy. When I think about the past, I remember a very different time. I remember the day I met Roger at a wedding. He smiled at me in a warm way. He spoke in a soft voice. He said he would care for me. He said I would never feel alone with him. His words felt strong and simple, and I thought they were true. I was young, hopeful, and ready to build a life with him. At that time, I believed in him with my whole heart. When we first married, we did not have much. We lived in a small apartment with old chairs and a tiny kitchen. The floor made noise when we walked. The windows were old, and the air was cold in winter. Still, life felt sweet. We cooked simple meals together. We walked in the park on weekends. We sat on the sofa and watched small shows on the old TV. Roger sometimes brought me little flowers from the shop near our home. I felt grateful. I thought this was the start of a happy life. I thought we would grow older side by side. I imagined many quiet mornings and slow evenings. I imagined a home full of soft voices and warm care. Life slowly changed after Amy was born. At first the change was small, and I did not notice. Amy was a sweet baby and needed a lot of care. I woke early each day to feed her. I washed clothes, cleaned the living room, swept the floor, and cooked meals. I felt busy, but I was glad to be a mother. Roger helped a little in the beginning. He held Amy sometimes and made small jokes to make me smile. But with time, he helped less. He spent more hours sitting on the couch. He said he was tired. He said he needed rest. I thought it was normal, and I tried to stay patient. As the years passed, the home grew busier, but Roger grew still. I woke before the sun each morning to start the day. I cleaned the kitchen and packed Amy's school lunch. I checked her schoolwork and made sure she ate breakfast. I washed dishes, cleaned rooms, and did the laundry. I moved from one task to the next without stopping. Roger stayed in bed or sat on the couch with his phone. He liked reading news or watching small videos. He did not look up when I asked for help. He always said the same words in a calm voice. He said I did everything better. He said it was easier if I did it. I tried to laugh at first, but later the jokes did not feel like jokes anymore. I began to feel tired in a way I could not explain. It was not sharp pain. It was slow and steady. My body felt heavy during the day. My eyes felt tight in the morning. My hands moved because they had to move. I did not rest. I did not stop. I felt like time kept pulling me forward, and I had to follow. Roger did not see this. Amy grew older and needed help with school, clothes, friends, and projects. I helped her with all of it. I tried to smile at her because she was still young. I did not want her to feel my worry. One morning I was late for everything. The sink had many dishes. The laundry waited in a full basket. Amy could not find her school paper. She looked stressed and almost ready to cry. I walked from room to room trying to help her and clean at the same time. The house felt too small for all the things I needed to do. Roger sat on the couch with his phone in his hand. He did not look up. He did not hear Amy calling me. He did not see the work around him. I asked him softly if he could help us. He told me not to make noise. His words felt sharp, even though he said them in a low voice. That night I made pasta for dinner because I was too tired to cook anything else. I put the plates on the table and sat down. Roger looked at the food and asked why I made the same thing again. His voice was not loud, but it did not feel kind. I tried to explain that I felt tired and needed some rest, but he did not want to hear it. He spoke with firm words about being the man of the house. He did not ask how I felt. He did not say thank you for the meal. I lowered my eyes. I did not want Amy to hear us talk like this, so I stayed quiet. After that evening, I stopped asking Roger for help. I told myself it was better to avoid tension in the house. I wanted Amy to feel safe. I did not want her to worry. I continued to wake early and sleep late. Each day felt long. Sometimes I went to the store, and neighbors looked at me with soft eyes. They asked if I was all right. My mother said I looked tired. Even Roger's parents said he worked hard, but I knew he did not. He did not work at home or outside. He stayed in the house most days and rested. I tried to push away my worry, but it stayed inside my thoughts. One night, Roger made a comment that made my whole body feel weak. He said women were made for this kind of life. He said it was natural. His words did not feel real to me. They did not feel kind. They did not feel like the man I once married. I did not argue with him. I did not want another cold evening. The next morning, I cooked only for myself and for Amy. I did not wash Roger's clothes. I did not clean his cups. I did not pick up his things from the floor. I did not do this to be unkind. I only wanted him to see the work I did every day. I wanted him to see the weight I carried. On the fourth day, Roger finally asked why the house looked different. He asked why things were not done. His voice did not sound angry this time. It sounded confused. I looked at him and spoke in a calm voice. I told him this was the life I lived for 20 years. I told him I never asked for much. I told him I did my best each day, even when I felt tired. Roger looked down and held my hand. He said he would try to change. His voice sounded softer than before. For a short time, he really tried. He found a small job and left the house early in the morning. He helped wash dishes. He played with Amy. He asked me how I felt. For the first time in many years, the house felt balanced. I could breathe a little. I could sit down without worrying about every little thing. I wanted to believe this new life would stay. I wanted to think we had found a better path. But even as I smiled, a quiet fear stayed with me. It was not sharp fear. It was simple fear that came from many years of being alone in the work. I watched Roger come home each day, and I tried to trust this new version of him. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to feel safe again. I did not say these thoughts out loud. I kept them quiet in my mind. I told myself to wait, to see what would happen next. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. Roger's new effort continued for some weeks. Each morning he left for work with a small lunchbox in his hand. He came home early in the evening. He asked about Amy's day. He helped clear the table after dinner. He even fixed the old light in the hallway. These moments gave me a quiet hope. I felt lighter when I woke up. I cleaned the house with less worry because now someone stood beside me. Amy also felt happy. She said the house felt different. She said it felt calm. I agreed. I wanted this new life to stay. I wanted to believe it would last. For the first time in many years, I could sit on the sofa without feeling guilty. I could rest my feet for a few minutes. I could drink tea while the sun came through the window. I watched Roger laugh with Amy during a simple board game at night. I watched him try new recipes in the kitchen. He used simple steps, but he tried. His face looked lighter. His voice sounded warmer. We went for short walks again. Not every day, but sometimes. It felt like a small start, and I held on to it. Still, there was a quiet fear inside me. I did not speak about it, but it stayed with me. It came from years of carrying the home alone. It came from long mornings and long nights. It came from moments when I asked for help and did not receive any. This fear made me watch things more closely. I watched how Roger placed his shoes near the door. I watched if he helped without being asked. I watched if he stayed patient when the day was long. I wanted to trust him, but trust grows slowly. 3 months passed, and then small changes started to appear again. At first, they were easy to miss. Roger came home late one evening. He said work was busy. I believed him because it sounded normal. The next week he came home late again. He left his used dishes on the table. He did not put away his work bag. He said he was tired. I told myself it was only one day. But the days turned into more days. Soon he stopped helping with the dishes. He stopped playing with Amy in the evening. He began to sit on the couch again for long periods of time. His eyes stayed on his phone. He did not look up when I spoke. The house started to feel the same as before. I tried to breathe and stay calm. I did not want to jump to fear too fast. I wanted to believe he would try again, but each week grew heavier than the last. One afternoon, I returned from the store with bags in my hands. I placed the food on the table and turned to call Amy. I saw Roger's shoes in the middle of the hallway. His jacket was on the sofa. His cup from the morning was still on the table. The house looked like my old life again. I felt tired and stood still for a moment. I asked Roger if he could help me put things away. He said he was busy. His voice was flat, like the past was returning one small piece at a time. Amy noticed too. One evening, she came to me and asked if everything was all right. She said the home felt tense. I told her not to worry, but her eyes looked unsure. She was old enough to see the change. She remembered the long years before this short period of calm. I wished she did not have to see this again. One evening, about a year after Roger first promised to change, he came home and sat at the table without saying a word. I placed dinner in front of him. He looked at the food for a moment, then looked at me. His face had no warmth. His voice was steady and cold. He said he wanted a divorce. I felt still, like time had paused for a moment. I did not yell. I did not ask why. I only said 2 simple words, "Then go." Roger stood up and left the room. He did not take much. He only took some clothes, his phone, and his wallet. I watched him walk out the door. I listened to the quiet sound of his car driving away. Amy came to me and asked what happened. I spoke gently and told her the truth. She held my arm and stayed close to me. We sat on the sofa together for a long time. I did not cry. I was too tired to cry. I only felt a slow, steady quiet. 2 months passed, and news reached us through a friend. Roger had married a younger woman named April. Their wedding was small. People said she was calm and polite. People said Roger looked happy. I listened to the words, but they did not pull anything from me. I had spent many years giving all of my strength. I did not have space for more worry about him. My life now belonged to me and to Amy, but soon we began to hear small details. April did not wake early. She slept late most days. The kitchen stayed messy. The living room stayed untidy. Roger began to do more and more work in the house. He picked up clothes from the floor. He made breakfast. He washed dishes. He cleaned the rooms. He tried to keep the home steady, but April left many things for him to do. He came home tired and sat down with a quiet face. These small details reached us slowly, but each one felt clear. His new life did not look easy. Roger is in his new home, facing a life he once gave to me. And I am in my home, trying to build a new path with Amy by my side. Life slowly became calm after Roger left. The house felt quiet, but it was a gentle quiet, not a heavy one. I woke each morning and made breakfast for Amy. We sat together at the table and talked about school, friends, and simple plans. I washed dishes at my own pace. I cleaned the house without hurry. I did not feel watched or judged. The rooms felt open again. There was space to breathe. I felt tired at times, but it was a normal tired. It was not the long tired that came from years of doing everything alone. Amy stayed close to me during these months. She helped clean the kitchen after dinner. She folded her clothes. She asked how my day was. She showed a quiet care that warmed my mornings. She did not speak much about Roger, and I did not push her. We both needed time to understand our new life. We needed time to feel steady again. And day by day, we found a simple rhythm. Sometimes we ate dinner outside on the small porch. Sometimes we watched a short show before bed. The house did not feel perfect, but it felt safe. I also found a small job at a local shop. The hours were short, and the shop owner was kind. I stacked shelves and helped customers. My hands stayed busy, and it felt good. I liked having a reason to leave the house each day. I liked the soft chatter of people who came in to buy bread or fruit. I felt part of the town again, not hidden behind long housework. When I came home, Amy often sat at the table with her school book. The house felt peaceful in a way I had not known for many years. Meanwhile, we sometimes heard small updates about Roger's new life. A neighbor saw him at the store. A friend heard something from someone else. The details were simple, but they showed a clear picture. Roger did most of the housework. He cooked breakfast. He cleaned the kitchen. He picked up clothes from the floor. April did not help much. She liked to sleep late. She spent long hours on her phone. She left cups and plates in different rooms. Roger tried to manage everything, but he grew tired. People said he looked different. They said he stood still in the store as if his mind was far away. These small reports reached me slowly. I listened, but I did not comment. I did not feel joy or anger. I only felt calm, as if a long story had reached its natural end. One evening, after a long day at the shop, I sat on the sofa with a warm drink. Amy read a book nearby. The house felt soft and steady. I looked around and saw a life I built with care. It was not fancy. It was not loud, but it was peaceful. I thought about the many years when peace felt far away. I thought about mornings when I carried everything alone. Now those memories felt like old pictures. They did not control me anymore. Later that same week, when I was closing the shop, my phone buzzed. I did not check it until I reached home. It was a message from Roger. His name on the screen made my hands pause. The message was short. He asked how I was. He said he hoped I was doing well. I stared at the words for a long moment. Amy walked into the room and saw my face. She asked if everything was all right. I told her it was just a message from her father. She nodded and sat beside me. I did not answer the message that night. I did not know what to say, and I did not need to say anything right away. I slept well. The next morning I read the message again. It felt calm. It did not feel heavy. I placed the phone down and went to the kitchen to make breakfast. After a few hours, I wrote a simple reply. I told Roger that we were fine and that Amy was doing well in school. I did not add anything more. It felt enough. Weeks passed, and he did not send another message. I did not expect one. I did not wait for one. My days moved forward. I worked at the shop. I cooked dinner. I watched Amy grow into a strong young woman with clear thoughts and a kind heart. Sometimes she spoke about her future. She wanted to study in a nearby city. I told her I would support her. Her eyes shone with quiet excitement. I felt proud of her. One afternoon, while I swept the porch, I thought about the long road that brought me here, the years of work, the long mornings, the days when I felt unseen, and then the slow shift toward a small and steady peace. I did not carry anger. I did not want it. I only wished for a simple life with space to breathe. Roger's choices were his, and my life now was mine. As time passed, the house grew lighter. Amy laughed more. I cooked new meals on weekends. I planted a few small flowers outside the porch. They were simple and bright. They made the house feel warm. I did not know what the future would bring, but I felt ready for it. I no longer woke with worry. I no longer walked through the house with a quiet fear. My days belonged to me and to my daughter. That was enough. And so the story reached its natural end. Roger lived his new life, carrying the work he once left for me. I lived my quiet life, steady and peaceful, building each day with care. Nothing else was needed. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English. My name is Emily. I'm 19 years old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I just finished high school a few months ago. I live with my mom and little brother, Ryan. Life is quiet. I stay home most days, help around the house, and sometimes go out for coffee. I don't have a job yet. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do next. But one thing I do know, Jake made my days feel less ordinary. I met Jake during my last year of school. He was in my math class. He was kind, quiet, and always helped others. He was the kind of boy who opened doors for teachers and picked up dropped books without being asked. Most boys joked around or tried to show off, but not Jake. He stayed calm. He smiled a lot, but never too big. Just a soft, polite smile. I liked that about him. For weeks, we didn't talk. We just passed each other in the halls. But then one afternoon in the library, I dropped my notebook. I bent down to pick it up, but he got to it first. "Here you go," he said. "Thanks," I replied, feeling a little shy. He noticed the book I was holding. "That one's good. Kind of sad, though," he added. I smiled and said, "I'll still read it." After that, we started talking more often. Little things at first. Homework, books, music. Then more. Sometimes we studied together in the school library. Sometimes we walked home part of the way. He didn't live far from me. One evening while walking, he told me something personal. "My dad moved to Texas," he said. "I live with my mom now." I nodded and said, "I live with my mom too. My dad left when I was small." He looked at me and said softly, "That must have been hard." I shrugged. "It's just how it is." He paused, then said, "You're stronger than you look." My heart felt warm after that. I kept hearing his words again in my head when I went to sleep that night. Over time, I started thinking about Jake more. He was gentle. He made me feel seen. I didn't know if he liked me the same way, but I wanted to be near him. I started waiting for his messages. I smiled more when he was around. I wasn't sure what it meant yet, but it felt like something real. Then came Rachel. Rachel was smart and very pretty. She wore nice clothes and always had perfect hair. She laughed a lot. People liked her. I had nothing against her, but something about her made me feel unsure. One day, I saw her talking to Jake. She touched his arm and laughed at something he said. He smiled back. It was a small moment, but it stayed with me. Later that week, I saw her sit beside him in the cafeteria. She gave him a juice bottle. He said thanks and opened it. They talked for a while. I sat at a different table and watched. I couldn't eat much. I felt something strange inside me. I didn't want to name it yet, but I felt it all the same. That evening, I messaged Jake. "Hey, want to go for a short walk after dinner?" He replied, "Sorry, I've got plans tonight. Maybe tomorrow?" I typed back, "No problem." But I didn't ask who the plans were with. I didn't want to sound like I cared too much. The next day, I saw him and Rachel walking together near the bookstore downtown. They were laughing. Again, that strange feeling came back. It was like a quiet pain, sitting just under my chest. I didn't say anything to Jake the next time I saw him. But later that night, he messaged me. "Can we talk tomorrow? Just us?" I said yes. We met at the small park near my house. The air was cool. The sky looked soft and gray. We sat on a wooden bench near the trees. "I saw you and Rachel," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He nodded. "Yeah. She's been around a lot lately." "Do you like her?" I asked. Jake looked away for a second. Then he said, "She's nice, but I don't know what I feel right now." I looked down at my hands. "So why do you spend time with her?" He took a deep breath. "I guess I'm just tired. People expect things from me. Rachel wants things too. But it's hard to think sometimes." "I don't want anything from you," I said quietly. He looked at me. His voice softened. "I know. That's why I like being around you." I didn't say anything, but inside, my heart started to hope again. The next few days were confusing. Jake still messaged me, still talked to me at school, but he also spent time with Rachel. She started posting pictures on her social media. One was a photo of them sitting at a table together. She had written, "My favorite person." I stared at the photo for a long time. My stomach felt tight. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what we were. I didn't ask him about it. I didn't want to seem jealous, but I was. A few days later, Rachel came up to me at lunch. She smiled. "Hey, Emily. I know you and Jake are close." I nodded, unsure of where this was going. "He's great," she said. "We've been hanging out a lot." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Then she walked away. I sat there, unable to eat. I didn't know if that was a warning or just her way of telling me that I was too late. That evening, I went back to the park bench where I had talked to Jake. I sat alone, hoping he might come, but he didn't. The next morning at school, I saw him by the lockers. He looked tired. "You okay?" I asked. He gave a small smile. "Just thinking too much." "Me too," I said. He looked at me for a long second. "You're one of the few people I feel normal around." I wanted to hold on to that moment. I wanted to ask him to stop seeing Rachel, but I didn't. I didn't want to push, so I stayed quiet. I didn't know what would happen next, but I could feel something shifting, and not in a way that felt good. Before I go on, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next few weeks passed slowly. Jake still talked to me, but something had changed. Sometimes he was quiet, even when we were alone. Sometimes he replied late to my messages. And Rachel? She was always around. At school, at the coffee shop, outside the library. Always smiling. Always near him. One day, I saw them walking together again. This time, she was holding his arm. I watched from across the street. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered more than I wanted it to. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at my ceiling and thought about everything. About Jake, about Rachel, about the way things used to feel simple. I thought about how much I liked him, how safe I felt when we talked. I missed that feeling. I missed him, and yet he wasn't even gone. The next day at school, I tried to act normal. I smiled at my classmates. I did my work, but my heart felt heavy. During lunch, I saw Jake sitting alone at the edge of the courtyard. I walked over and sat down beside him. "You okay?" I asked. He looked at me and nodded. "Yeah, just tired." There was a long pause. Then I said, "You don't talk to me as much lately." Jake looked down. "I know. I'm sorry." I waited, hoping he'd say more, hoping he'd explain. But he didn't. Are you with Rachel now?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "I don't know. She likes me, I guess. I'm trying to figure things out." I bit my lip. "And me? What about us?" Jake looked at me, and for a moment I thought he was going to say something honest, something real, but instead he just said, "I don't want to hurt anyone." Those words hurt more than anything. I stood up. "You already are." I walked away before he could say anything else. Later that evening, I went to my favorite spot near the lake. It was quiet there. I sat on the bench and watched the water move. I thought about the past few months, about the library, about the park, about the way Jake made me feel when he said I was strong. It all felt far away now. The next day, I saw Rachel again. She smiled at me in the hallway. "Hey," she said like nothing was wrong. I didn't smile back. "You win," I said quietly. She tilted her head. "Win what?" "Jake," I said. "You got what you wanted." She laughed a little. "Is that what you think? That this is some kind of game?" I looked at her. "Isn't it?" Rachel didn't answer. She just walked away, her smile gone. After that, things got even colder. Jake stopped texting me. He didn't sit with me at lunch. He stopped walking my way after school. I tried not to care, but every day felt heavier than the last. Then one morning, something happened. Jake didn't come to school. At first, I thought he was sick, but then he didn't come the next day, or the day after that. By Friday, people were talking. Someone said he moved. Someone else said he just left town with his mom. No one seemed to know for sure. I checked my phone. No new messages. I sent one. "Hey, where are you?" No reply. I waited a few more days. Still nothing. Then one night, I saw his name pop up on my screen. Jake. "I'm sorry I didn't say goodbye. We moved to Ohio. Things were too messy. I needed a break from everything." I stared at the message. My hands felt cold. I typed, "Why didn't you tell me?" He replied, "Because I didn't want to make it harder. I care about you. I care about Rachel too. But I couldn't choose. So I left." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't reply. That night, I sat in bed and cried. Not loud, not messy, just quiet tears that wouldn't stop. I wasn't crying because I lost him. I was crying because there was never a choice. We both gave our hearts to someone who couldn't hold them. At school, people kept talking about Jake. Rachel didn't say much. She looked different now. Not happy, not proud, just quiet. We passed each other in the hall one afternoon. We didn't speak. We didn't smile. We were two girls who wanted the same boy, and neither of us got him. Later that week, I went back to the lake. The bench was empty. The wind was soft. I sat there and closed my eyes. I thought about what Jake said, that he couldn't choose. Maybe he was right. Maybe he wasn't ready for love. Maybe he never really loved either of us. Or maybe he did, but not enough. I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "It's okay. You're going to be okay." And for the first time in weeks, I believed it. Jake left. Rachel lost. I let go. Sometimes love doesn't have a happy ending. Sometimes the person you want walks away. But that doesn't mean your story ends there. It just means a new chapter is waiting. Weeks passed. The weather got colder. Leaves turned red and gold. School felt different without Jake. His name came up less and less. People moved on. But I didn't forget him. Not yet. I still walked past the library where we first spoke. I still sat on our park bench sometimes. I didn't expect him to come back. I knew he wouldn't. But memories don't leave as quickly as people do. Rachel didn't talk to me again. She stopped smiling at school. She walked with her friends, but her face looked tired. One day, I saw her standing alone near the lockers. She looked at her phone, then put it away quickly. I knew that feeling, waiting for a message that never comes. We never said it out loud, but both of us had the same truth in our hearts. Jake left, and we were both just names in his story. One afternoon, I sat at the lake again. I watched the water move slowly. The sky was soft and gray. I remembered the last time Jake sat beside me. I remembered his quiet voice and the way he looked down when he didn't know what to say. He was never cruel. He was just unsure. Maybe that was worse. I pulled out my phone and read his last message again. I couldn't choose, so I left. I stared at those words. Part of me wanted to be angry, but I wasn't. I was just tired. I stood up and walked around the water. The air was cool on my face. For the first time, I felt something different. Not sadness, not pain, just peace. He was gone. And now, I could begin again. A few days later, I saw Rachel at the small bookstore near school. She was looking at the poetry section. I was just there to buy a notebook. I almost walked away, but then I saw her wipe her eyes. She turned and saw me. For a second, we just stood there, two girls with the same story. She walked up to me. Her voice was soft. "Do you still think I won?" I shook my head. "No. I think we both lost." She gave a sad smile. "I guess that's true." We didn't talk long. Just a few words. But in that small moment, I didn't feel alone anymore. We both liked the same boy. We both gave him pieces of our hearts. And he left both behind. That night, I wrote in my notebook. I wrote about Jake, about what he meant to me, about how he made me feel strong, then confused, then invisible. I didn't write to send it to him. I wrote so I could stop carrying the weight in my chest. I started writing more after that. Not about Jake, about other things, dreams, plans, myself. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I had to start somewhere, so I did. One Sunday morning, I was at the cafe near the school. I saw someone from my old English class sitting at a table. His name was Noah. He smiled and waved. I waved back and sat a few tables away. He came over. "Hey," he said. "I haven't seen you in a while." "Yeah. Things got quiet after graduation." We talked for a little while, about books, about music. Nothing deep, but it felt good to laugh. I didn't think about Jake while we talked, and that was something new. When I walked home later, I smiled to myself. Not because I liked Noah. I didn't. Not yet. But because I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt light. Free. A few days later, I heard someone at school say Jake posted pictures from his new town. He looked happy. Some people said he got a job. Others said he was starting college soon. I didn't look him up. I didn't want to know. I didn't need to. Rachel didn't ask about him either. She stopped posting pictures. She joined the art club. I heard she started painting again. As for me, I kept writing. I started taking walks again, not hoping to see anyone, just walking for myself. I started smiling at small things again. Sunlight through trees, music on the radio, a good book on a rainy day. Love can feel big. It can feel like it will last forever, but sometimes it doesn't. And when it ends, it's easy to think you did something wrong. But I didn't. Rachel didn't. We both gave what we had. It just wasn't enough for someone who didn't know what he wanted. Jake never chose either of us. And maybe that was the best thing he ever did, because it gave us both a chance to choose ourselves. The last time I cried for him, I didn't know it was the last time. It just happened. One evening, I sat by the window and felt the tears fall. But when they stopped, I didn't feel empty. I felt calm, like a storm had passed. That's how healing begins, not with a big moment, but with small changes. Less pain, more peace. Jake was part of my story, but he wasn't the whole story. And now, it's my turn to write the rest. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.